NZ Aerosports, Icarus Canopies, now Gyro. That's right, we've rebranded, and Gyro is our next generation. It honours our founder, as that's the name we knew him by, but Gyro also marks the start of a new chapter. And not to be biased, but it's going to be fucking epic. Long story short, we're more us than ever, so if you're new to the sport, or even a Sky God Ninja Turtle, welcome. I think our valiant leader Lucy, Gyro's daughter, says it best.
And we still got that fuck yeah attitude. Rebrand! Woo!
Rebrand woo indeed, Lucy. Anyway, head over to gyro.com for more info and get amongst you legends.
I was 19, broke, unemployed, and sold my girlfriend's canopy for drug money. So I thought I better sew her a new one. What a sentence, and what a story. This describes the humble yet outrageous beginnings of NZ Aerosports, the home of Icarus Canopies, in the words of our founder himself. From getting a paratrooper toy from his mom, watching parachutes at the DZ as a 6-year-old, jumping off the wharf with a parachute made from bed sheets, doing his first jump at 16, sewing his first canopy on a borrowed machine at 19, and starting to sell parachutes out of a garage in 1986, Paul Gyro Martin had an undying love for the sky. Our company started with one man with the wildest of spirits and a true blue sky dream, a renegade. In the time that Gyro created and ran the Icarus Canopies brand until he passed away in 2017, he pushed everything he had to its limits. We miss him, and we always will. Gyro is the next generation of NZ Aerosports. It honors our founder, of course, because it was the name we all knew him by, but Gyro the rebrand also marks the start of a new chapter, our next jump. Gyro is the space between sound and silence, art and science, chaos and calm. Gyro is a state of epic tranquility that transcends understanding. That moment, in the door, in free fall, mid-swoop, where nothing but the present exists. A perfect balance of euphoria and thrill. Gyro captures our passion for flying and our commitment to designing break-the-fucking-rules canopies that deliver pilots pure, wild flight. Hey gang, so I got a new book out. It's called The Upside of Fear, and it's exactly what you think it's about. It's about the good side of, well, getting scared. In it, we talk not only about the science and biology behind fear, but the psychology as well. And it's not just coming from me, it's coming from some of the best in the sport. Omar Alhigelan, Jeff Provenzano, Maxine Tate, and so many more have contributed their sometimes terrifying stories to the book to help you overcome your fear. So head to the lunaticfringepodcast.com. You're going to find the link to the book there, as well as the other books. It's available in ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook right now.
Coming straight from the cockpit, it's another episode of Lunatic Fringe with the fucking pilot.
Ready, set, go! Back in the can for another edition of the Lunatic Fringe podcast and another friendly face on the other end of the line. Let's get to it. Tell me, who the fuck are you and what do you do?
Hi, Dean. My name is Alexander Rumbaugh. I am currently a customer service representative at iFly, and I recently became a writer.
Nice! Nice! Which one was harder?
Oh, good question.
Customer service
maybe the
is...
second.
Yeah. I mean, I think they both have their challenges, right?
Yeah, they both do, for sure. I would say the writing was definitely more caffeine fueled than the customer service job, but I love both.
What's your background in writing? Is this something that you just decided you had some interest in, or do you have a background in it?
So this is something that I just decided I have an interest in, basically. I just finished up my master's in project management at the University College of Dublin. And for my thesis, my big final project, they offered me the opportunity to write a book related to project management. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And here it is. I did it.
Nice. It's kind of crazy when you sit down to start writing a book, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
even if you have every idea of the direction that you want it to go and what you want in it, when you actually start putting pen to paper, so to speak, it's a whole new thing.
I agree. There's nothing more intimidating than that first blank piece of paper or blank screen, however you're doing it, and just realizing that you've got to start somewhere.
Sure, sure. And we'll definitely talk more about the book later, but I know it's pretty detail oriented, which means that it's not just writing, it's research, it's
Yes.
information.
Yes.
The last book that I wrote required a lot of research and information into things that I didn't necessarily have a lot of information with,
Yeah.
and it's a whole different beast when you're writing something like that.
Absolutely. This is your one on fear, or?
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I heard about it. I thought it was super cool. I love that you went that way.
Oh, thanks. It was, I mean, it's the same thing, right? You just kind of get a bug and you sit down to write it. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I actually need to know shit for this one. This is not just stuff off the top of my head or previous experience with goofy people jumping out of airplanes.
Yeah, no, my project was exactly the same way. It's based on risk management, so I had to really get familiar with all the theory that goes into that. And I've read probably at least 8 textbooks before I sat down to write it.
I
So,
bet. I mean, it's an incredibly intense subject.
yes,
It really
yes.
is. And people don't realize, obviously in skydiving, it's all about risk management, but we do it on I don't want to say an unconscious level, but a lot of it actually is. Like my handles checks going up in the plane became second nature after a while, but it's still a version of risk management.
Absolutely. The way I like to think about it is that we just don't put the label on it of
Mm,
risk management. We're doing it, we're just not consciously labeling it that way.
sure.
Because I included interviews from 5 different professional skydivers in this book as well, one of them being Amy Shemalecki. And
Mm,
when I was speaking with her, she was like, yeah, I have been risk managing the whole time. I just never really like put that label on it. But you're right. Like these are the things that I've been doing all along in my skydiving journey. And I think that's pretty true for most good jumpers that,
for sure.
we are doing it. We just don't think about it in that sense.
Yeah, my first time really getting involved with having to examine how I did things was becoming an AFF instructor, and then when I would teach pilots how to fly jumpers in a different plane set, and you have to really break down your process in a way that you normally would not do, step by step by step by step, and that's when you're really like, oh shit, I'm actually doing a lot, but
Yeah.
most of it is just on a not unconscious level, but it's just much quicker.
Yeah, I mean, we really do try to build the muscle memory of it all so that it is second nature. You're not thinking about it. I mean, when you think about AFF, like you're just mentioning, instructors just drill it into you over and over and over again until it is something you're just not even having to think about.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I literally, it's got to be in the tens of thousands of times that I've done handles checks on the climb to altitude, only
Mhm.
half aware of what I was doing. I jokingly say it becomes a skydiver's version of the sign of the cross for a Catholic, right? It's just different
Oh,
directions, and it's almost unconscious. Okay, shit's get okay. Yeah, there's my handles, and
oh.
my hands tell me when something's wrong even when my brain is not engaged. I reach back and my 3 fingers know, wait, this shouldn't be the way this feels, and instantly something's different. Let's check it out.
Yeah,
It's cool.
that's the way it has to be.
So how did skydiving start for you, or how did anything extreme start for you?
Yeah, so I got into the extreme with the skydiving. Skydiving was my first extreme sports,
Mm,
and it was meant to be a bucket list item. I always thought it was going to be a one and done. I do my tandem, I face my fears. My greatest fears at the time were heights and falling. And so I was like, this is it. This is going to be the scariest thing I'll ever do in my life. I'll accomplish it and then I'll, you know, be done with it.
yeah.
But you know what? I actually had such an amazing time on my first jump. I did it at Skydive Arizona, and they really made me fall in love with the
Mm.
sport. I was
Well,
instantly hooked. Yeah.
you can't really start jumping in a better place than some place like Eloy or Paris or Elsinore. I mean, you're kind of at the top of the pyramid in places like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
These
I really lucked out.
Yeah, they perfected the game a long time ago when it comes to introductions to skydiving and student skydiving and training and such. I mean, it's
Mhm.
there's a reason it's world class.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So,
would definitely say so.
what was it specifically that got you to decide I'm going to tempt fate again? Was there one thing or one person?
Um, It's a great question. So before my first jump, I actually made a list of pros and cons, kind of weighing,
Of course you
whoa, should
did.
I do it? I'm a very like cautious person. So a lot of my friends were shocked I did this at all, but I had a list of 10 reasons why I should jump. And I had, only one serious con, and it was like, but what if I die? But I had the 10 things. And I was like, I don't know, I just want to do it. And so when I was thinking about learning actually from jump two. I was like, what if I become a skydiver? Like, not what if I do another tandem? It was very much already like, what if I do this? And
Hmm.
this is like my new sport. And so I revisited my list of 10 things from jump one. And I was like, how many of these would still be true if I keep doing this,
Hmm.
and if this is like a continuous thing? And almost all of them still ring true to this day of, having the opportunity to continue pushing against fear and really analyze it. And I'm sure that's something you can really relate to. And, you
Sure.
know, pushing boundaries, learning new limits, testing myself, making friends, like just all of it continues to be very much a present part of my life.
For sure.
And also, my first camera flyer, he was basically asking me, so like, what'd you think? Would you do it again? And in that moment, I actually teared up, and I knew right away when he asked me that this was probably going to be a big part of my life.
Yeah, I think it was the same for me as well. I was the classic in that I had 3 weeks worth of weather holds because we only had one day a week that myself and the girl I was dating at the time could go. And for three
Mm.
weeks we had bad weather. And on the fourth week, we were halfway to the drop zone when we got a telephone call that the plane was broken. So
Oh my gosh.
I'm not supposed to skydive. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Sure.
So having thought that, I of course then paid for the video. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna buy the video because now it's been a month and I've saved up more money so I can afford the video. And the fifth week in a row, we actually got to jump, and I was terrified, like everybody, to some degree, but I was proper scared, and I remember landing, trying really hard not to puke because the canopy ride kind of got to me, and
Yeah.
uh, and I remember thinking, oh my God, I was so scared, and that was so much fun, and I couldn't quite make the two make sense. Like, how could I be shitting myself in the plane and leaving the plane and still have so goddamn much fun and have a miserable parachute ride and still love every second of it? And by the time I made it from the landing area to the hangar, I'd already decided, and I walked in and how was it? And I'm like, here's my credit card charge until it says declined. I'm like, this is, I do this now. This
Yeah.
is it. And the fear portion took me a long time to get past. It really did.
Yeah.
I was scared for a long time, and that was part of what made it so special.
Mm.
Because
Yeah.
I didn't have a list of 10 things. All I knew is I might fucking die,
Yeah. Yeah, it's
right?
a real fear. It
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is.
That's it. That's all I knew is I might fucking die. And of course, you would know as you go
Mm.
through the experience and you get a little bit more experienced, all you realize is that you really might fucking die. I
Totally.
mean,
It
it's
happens.
the odds are small, but
Mm.
they're there, and all that training points out the fact that look, shit can go sideways. So it's an interesting choice when people like you and I make it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely. I mean, there is something beautiful about it. The plane still gets me a little bit. I'm nearly 40 jumps in, and I'm still a little antsy and fearful in the plane, but I, breathe through it, and
Sure. Well,
yeah.
It was really funny in regard to the plane because when I stopped jumping for a living and started flying the plane for a living, my family was relieved that I wasn't jumping full time anymore. And I didn't have the heart to tell them that staying in the airplane is so much more dangerous than jumping out of it.
Mhm.
So much,
Yeah,
so much more can go wrong.
yeah.
So at what point during the instruction and everything, did you do all of it in Eloy, by the way?
No, I did not. No, I
Okay.
ended up learning how to skydive out in Michigan. I have
Okay.
family here, and so it just seemed like a logical choice to kind of, get to bond with them and also take up this new sport.
Well, and it's I would imagine it was a smaller drop zone in Michigan compared to
Yes.
Eloy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a bit more intimate, right? When you're tackling the learning portion.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy with the education that I experienced at the drop zone I learned at. I learned at Midwest Free Fall, and they're based kind of near Romeo. It's a smaller town in Michigan, but like they take safety very seriously. Our DZO is Randy Allison. He's on the USPA board,
Mm,
and they just have like a great family vibe to them. Like I really enjoy them, and I love their plane. They have a caravan. It's
nice.
beautiful. They also have a 182 that sometimes goes up, but it's mostly a caravan drop zone, and
Sure.
I love it.
So when you went out to make the first jump and then subsequently decided you wanted to learn, what did your family think? Because you're the risk
Yeah,
management girl.
I know. So I knew my family was gonna be a little uncertain about the new sport. So I actually didn't even tell them before my first skydive.
Good choice.
I know. I was like, my mom's gonna have a heart attack waiting for me to get down. She's gonna be sitting there the whole time thinking I'm dead.
Yep.
So cheekily, I had my instructor, my tandem instructor, write, "Sorry,
Mom.
mom,"
Yep.
on my hands. And my first ever jump has me saying, "Sorry, mom." And I just sent her the pictures. I didn't even tell her. I just was like, here's a picture of me jumping out of a plane. Sorry,
Right.
mom. And thankfully, my mom is a wonderful lady. She has a great sense of humor. And she was like, you know what? Like, I'm actually really glad you did it this way. You know me really well. I would not have wanted to know beforehand. And, I'm glad you're okay. And yay, bucket list, one and done. Now you can say you've done it never again, right?
Uh,
Right?
how did that conversation go?
Yeah. It was funny because I kind of already knew I was going to be going again. So it was kind of just one of those like, yeah, about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
It's one of those things, right? I mean, you understand exactly where your parents are going to be coming from. You've already made
absolutely.
the decision you're going to do it. But time and time again, meeting or on the podcast, especially talking about family, most of the time they end up being super supportive. Like there've only been
Yeah,
a handful of guests that had parents that were like, absolutely not, you're not doing this shit.
right,
Most
right.
of them are like, all right, well, be safe. And like my
Mhm,
parents were, understandably nervous at the beginning, but once I was doing it for a living, they kind
mhm.
of figured, well, first off, we're not going to change his mind. Second off, let's see. And I actually got a number of my family to come out and jump. So that changed it
Awesome.
as well. Was
Yeah.
was that something your mom would do?
She is thinking about doing a tandem now. I brought her out to the drop zone recently, and so she kind of got to see it all in action. And I think she felt a lot better kind of seeing it demystified. She did say that like reading the book helped her a lot too, because she just didn't realize how many rules we had. In her
Mm,
head, she kind of thought, we were just willy-nilly, like, okay, here's the plane, here's your parachute, like go.
yep,
Without any training. So it was really helpful for her to kind of peek behind the curtain a bit.
sure.
I think she's really, really supportive now. I joked with her that I'm gonna have a sticker made for her that says my daughter is a skydiver, and she was like, "Give it to me as soon as possible." I think she's like really proud of it
Of
now.
course, it's that thing, right? It's there's something about
Yeah,
it that it just kind of elevates you just a little bit to people that don't do that kind of thing because they people
yeah,
can't wrap their head around why someone would do that if they're not inclined.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's kind of funny because you say your mom got a bit of a peek behind the curtain and didn't realize all the rules and regulations, and that's an honest statement. The fact of the matter is, calling skydiving an extreme sport these days actually kind of sticks with me a little bit because really in the big scheme of things, skydivers are some of the most safety-oriented human beings on the planet, and
Mm.
statistically speaking, we're a lot safer doing what we do than a lot of real extreme sports.
Oh, absolutely. We're less likely to have fatalities than scuba divers are.
Yep.
And it's interesting to me because scuba divers have less problems with insurance. So,
Yep.
like, we are so stigmatized that insurance companies don't want to work with us, don't want to provide life insurance, health insurance to us, but they'll, insure the scuba divers. And I love scuba divers. I'm not hating. I'm just saying, like, there's such a stigmatized perception
Sure.
around jumping out of planes that I hope my book kind of challenges a little bit. I do kind of get into like risk perception, and I agree with you. It rubs me a bit the wrong way how skydiving is perceived as being, like
Sure. Well,
you're
that
gonna die
that
immediately every time. Yeah.
that was one of the reasons behind the name the Lunatic Fringe for the podcast was
Mhm.
to be a bit cheeky about the image that skydivers have as opposed to what we really are, which was
Yeah.
really interesting because when I approached an old timers group on Facebook, I just
Okay.
put out a blanket post saying, "Hey, I would love to see if we can get some old timers that would come on the show and tell some proper stories about." And I think I referenced a T-shirt that said when skydiving was dangerous and sex was safe. So
Yeah.
it was a funny joke, and
Yeah.
I got a
I love
lot of
it.
pushback because of the name. People were like, "That's horrible. It paints us in the wrong." And I'm like, "You're kind of not getting the sarcasm behind the name, first
Yeah.
off, and second off, to the general public, we are fucking lunatics.
Absolutely. Totally.
We're
Yeah.
completely mental. We jump out of airplanes."
I
But
know.
when you referenced scuba diving, I didn't get licensed for scuba until I had been skydiving for a lot of years, and I remember one of the first times that I dove as a licensed diver, kicking around on my own, looking at the fish and the coral and everything, and thinking, if anything goes wrong, I have so much less time than a skydive to sort shit out. And
Absolutely.
I remember thinking, this is so much more dangerous than jumping out of an airplane.
Yeah. Well, I don't have to worry about sharks in the sky.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's gonna bite me up there. I don't have
I
to worry
know.
about keeping. I mean, you got to keep track of your buddy on a skydive, but it's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's definitely a different kind of vibe.
yeah.
Circling back to the cheekiness of the name, I'm so on board with the Lunatic Fringe, and I really get it because I was trying to do the same sort of cheeky thing with the title of mine,
Mm,
Perfectly Good Plane, because so many people ask me the question who aren't
why?
skydivers, why are you jumping out of perfectly good airplanes? They're
Yep,
perfectly good, and I get it all the time. So it's my little wink of like,
yep,
you know.
yep. The I can say as a skydiver and a pilot, there is absolutely no such thing as a perfectly good airplane. They
Right.
all have issues. But it's just like skydiving, right? Being a pilot and flying a plane, you have things that you absolutely have to take care of in order to make
Hmm.
it safe. It's all about risk management.
It is. It really is. At the end of the day, we're all doing it, and it's so important. And you're right. I mean, brakes can go out on a car, and things can happen in a plane. So
Oh
it's
God,
just,
yes.
yeah,
I had more near-death experiences riding a motorcycle to the drop zone for work in Las Vegas than I ever did jumping.
Right. Yeah.
So you're new to the sport. You're 40 jumps or so in. Do you have a direction that you want to go with your time in the sport, or is it all kind of shiny and new?
I have a general idea. I am open to kind of meandering along my path, but my end goal is what I like to lovingly refer to as Airwax shit. And I mean that as a compliment. I think Airwax are one of the coolest, like free flying teams in the sport.
Yep.
I admire them so much, and I would love to capture the feeling that they bring to me someday and be able to share that to other people because
Nice.
they inspire me so much. And
Well,
like,
and they're
yeah.
absolute fucking sweethearts, both of them.
I haven't met them yet, but they seem lovely. All their interviews that they give, they seem like true gems. And
Oh, they
I
are.
maybe we bump into each other, but
I
that's kind of my
the
goal.
first time I had them on the show, I was still running the show out of Dubai, and so I had my studio there, and they were out doing an event or something, and so I shot them a message, and they're like, "Sure, no problem," and they showed up at my apartment, never met me before, with a beautiful bottle of wine, and climbed into
Oh,
this teeny little studio and sat there for hours with me shooting the shit, and just had this most amazing time. And I've been able to keep in touch with them quite a bit over the years. And you and Cowie, their videographer, and
yeah.
just they're as spectacular people wise as they are their activities in the sport. So you picked a good model to go for.
Thank you. Yeah, they're kind of the end goal along the way. I've kind of been trying to, build some good building blocks. So I've done some FS. I did some British Indoor National Championship stuff. So that was fun.
Nice.
Just learning as I go, not taking myself too seriously, but trying to build a strong foundation and
Sure.
safety and joy,
Sure.
because ultimately it's about doing what we love, right?
Yeah. Now, when did the tunnel come into play for you?
Very early on, in my skydiving journey, I kind of did receive a little bit of pushback. I am a slender girl, so I did have some people really questioning my ability to do this sport.
Hmm.
I had some people telling me, not at the drop zone I learned at, just in general, other places that I was too weak to be in this sport. And so I knew that when I showed up, I had to show up and know my stuff. Like
Hmm.
I had to really bring it, and it had to be good. Otherwise, I felt like, maybe they wouldn't let me try. So I started tunnel flying very early on in the journey. Through AFF, I only failed one level because I was hitting the tunnel so hard. I was going like once a week. I actually worked at the DZ I learned that too. So I was working as ground crew, and every cent I earned working as ground crew, I was spending at the tunnel to try to like progress.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's I mean, you can say a lot of things about skydiving and flying in the tunnel, but it's a money pit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not cheap, but boy, it really saved me. I was not a natural. I'll own it. I started the sport and I just was not super good right away.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
it's a very unnatural thing to do.
absolutely.
All of a sudden somebody's telling you to bend like a fucking banana and your feet are back there somewhere doing something and
I
you're
couldn't
supposed
feel
no, of
yeah.
course not. You're supposed to understand these very new sensations that you're having over most of the parts of your body that you don't actively pay attention to because your feet are just flipping down below you when you're walking around. And all of a sudden you can't see them. Everything feels strange, and they're one of the most important surfaces you have to deal with. So it's
Right.
the tunnel is the great teacher because that wall teaches you real quick which direction you're going.
Yeah, and then you're also basically in what I affectionately refer to as the fishbowl, where everyone can see you and you are on camera, smile. And
Yep.
so your instructors will definitely play back your video and point out the specific things you need to change. And because you're on a net, they're also very easily able to kind of grab you and reposition you. And,
Sure.
if you are flexing your foot wrong and they're trying to explain it to you and you're not getting it, they can adjust it and be like, no, this,
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I've
Oh, it's
definitely had sessions in the tunnel where I looked out the fishbowl and knew how bad I was doing just by the expression on someone's face. You're like, oh, that doesn't look good.
I know.
Learning how to fly on my head and you jackknife and pile yourself into the wall and all you see is scrunched up faces out of the glass and you're like, okay, yeah, that was me.
Yeah, I've been there too. I think it's a rite of passage. I always get so nervous when I can tell that the audience is filled with first-time flyers and I'm trying to do something new. I'm like, you won't be doing this. You'll be fine. I promise.
Yep, yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how my career started as well, although I flew in the very old Las Vegas tunnel, which required big baggy balloon suits and very underwhelming air, and you really had to work to fly. Um,
Yeah.
but I managed to learn to fly there and then actually work there. So by the time
Yeah.
I started actively jumping, body awareness wasn't so much of an issue, and I breezed right through my AFF as well. The canopy stuff took longer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm still working on canopy for sure, but just like you, I'm a tunnel rat. I think I'm up to 10 hours of tunnel time, so
Nice.
that's my mainstay at the moment. I love free fall so much. I'm sure you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
relate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, if I'm being honest, it took me 1,000 jumps before I enjoyed flying my parachute. But I also
Yeah.
started working very early in the sport, and I was working shooting video for tandems before I had 100 jumps. So again,
Okay.
because of the tunnel time, but that also
Mhm.
meant that I was having to try and race to beat the tandems down because my parachute was almost as big as theirs. You know,
Yeah.
so I only progressed because I had to and I didn't take the time to enjoy it. So taking that part slow is always a good idea.
Yeah.
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 So what was your degree in?
So, my master's degree, which I just finished up, is in project management. And
Okay.
so, risk management is one of the key steps in project management. That's kind of what led me down this book
S-
journey that I'm on.
So tell me, what does a project manager do? I don't have a clue.
Yeah, totally fair. It's hard to give a one size fits all statement here because the reality is we manage projects and basically every industry has some sort of project, right? You can find us in construction, you can find us in consulting, you can find us in tech, and even like gosh, so many. Real estate,
Mm,
sales sometimes, like just really all over the place. And it's very different based on what industry you're in, what you're doing. But essentially, we're the people who come up with the plan,
mm.
right? So the company decides that they want this net result. Maybe it's if you're in construction, maybe it's building a new building, and they hire a project manager to implement the plan for how that net result is going to come about. The project manager is supposed to think about all the things that could go right, all the things that could go wrong, build a team and make it happen.
So now with something like that, is this something that you're doing for different companies all the time that you're always back on the job market looking for a new project, or is this something that you're like, this is my home and I'm a project manager for this?
Yeah, it can depend because some people do contract work. That's pretty common that, they finish up a project and then they're on to the next one at a different company. Before I did my master's, I was a little different in that I worked for a nonprofit and I just handled multiple different projects for this nonprofit over a 4 year period. So I was just like their project manager and
Hmm.
they would give me different projects to work on. I created like a nationwide magazine for them. I helped implement their board of directors, just odd tasks that they decided they needed done, they would ask me to do.
Nice.
But I'm currently on the market now, actually, because I, stepped away from that to do the master's. So I'm actively seeking my next project work.
Now, do you see your new passion for skydiving kind of taking you in a different direction with this PhD? I mean, or your master's, I should say.
Um, Yeah, I mean, the skydiving definitely made me more interested in the risk portion of project management. So I guess I would have a pretty keen interest in specializing in the risk section. And
Mm.
I know a lot of tech companies really love that because there's all kinds of things that can go wrong in tech all the time. It's such a fast-paced industry. So I guess I'm like cheekily kind of hoping that, maybe some tech company will hear about me and be like, actually, we do need a risk manager. Why not hire this crazy skydiver and see what happens?
Sure. It brings to memory a movie I saw a bunch of years ago with Ben Stiller and Jennifer Aniston, where Ben Stiller plays a risk management guy, and his idea of risky is learning how to salsa dance and eating peanuts off the sidewalk, right?
I
And
love it.
and he's risk assessing the billionaire that's base jumping and doing all this crazy shit. So it very much paints that to mind.
Absolutely,
That's
absolutely. And
cool.
it's funny because I do kind of walk both, like to some people, I'm considered to be a huge risk taker. And then I think skydivers, sit down and have a coffee or whatever with me, and they're like, "So, Alexandra, Ali, like, when are you gonna start base jumping?" And I'm just
Yeah.
like, never." And they're
Oh yeah.
like,
Oh, that's the thing. I mean, I've been in the skydiving industry for 29 years basically now, and if you put me up against so-called normal people that just do normal activities, I'm batshit crazy. But
"Oh,
if you put
totally."
me up against just I, the middle of the road skydivers, I'm pretty risk averse, really. I've never base jumped. I watch a lot of the popular stuff on YouTube and wince and only look out of
Me
one
too.
eye, because it
Yeah.
makes me nervous. Part of that is because it just looks as badass as it is. There's part of me that thinks it looks incredibly fun, but I know I won't do it. And then there's the realistic part of me that knows how many friends I've lost over the years to really pushing it. Because after
Right,
29 years, you're going to say goodbye to a few people. And
right.
especially having spent as much time in a place like Dubai as I did, you get to
Mm,
know the world's best. And the world's
yes.
best are really pushing the envelope. And they're at the tip of the sword, I mean, and so those are the ones that I'm watching this going, "Oh God, that looks amazing, but fucking stop doing that, please." So it's kind of crazy because unlike the average viewer, I watch those videos and I know the risks involved. And
Yeah.
that makes it a little different. Like, so I'm sure you're probably a bit like me. I knew a long time ago there were certain lines I wasn't going to cross because I learned those lessons really early in the sport.
Yeah. So that line that you're talking about, that you're not open to crossing, that is your risk threshold. And
Yeah.
this whole concept is something that I talk about in my book because this is all risk management theory. Different people have different risk appetites, is the label for that. And it's exactly what you're saying. You and I, we don't have any appetite to base jump. It's just too much risk that we don't want to take on. But
Yep.
there are other skydivers in our community who have a larger risk appetite and they want to take those challenges on.
Absolutely.
Um, it's just, it's different to each individual and it's based off of our life experiences, the culture that we were raised in. It's different for everyone. But, my first TI at Skydive Arizona, he really sat me down on my first jump and he was like, skydiving is fun. And people die when they don't know their own limits and they push too far. And
Yeah.
that's something I've always carried with me. I really appreciated that lesson. And it's definitely made me a lot more careful about
Sure.
what I'm taking on in this sport.
Sure. I mean, I learned very early on, as soon as I became an instructor, a tandem instructor, one of the things that I appreciate most about the culture of skydiving is the bluntness of
Yeah,
skydivers, and
yeah,
our willingness to say the shit that people don't necessarily want to hear. And
right.
I literally can't count how many times I would have tandem students do all the paperwork and do the video interview and get geared up. And they're like, but I mean, it's safe, right? Like, nothing's really going to happen. And every time I would look them dead, I would make sure to make eye contact and look them dead in the eyes and go, we could absolutely die today. Absolutely. That being said, here are the odds. I've been doing this a long time. My motto
Yeah.
is everybody eats dinner and it's only lunchtime. So I'm going to do my best to make sure that we're okay and the odds are in our favor, but make no bones about it. What we're doing is incredibly dangerous. We just do
Absolutely.
everything that we can to make sure that we don't end up with a negative result. And I
Yeah.
never had anybody back out. And a lot of people really appreciated that honesty because they want to know no, shit can go wrong, but I'm strapped to you. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we're having a good time. Like, I plan to live to be a very old skydiver still doing this shit.
Right. Me
You know,
too. But I think the way you handle it is perfect because you're acknowledging that there are risks. You're going to do your best to manage them. I'm more scared about the people who act like there aren't any risk and, have no plan on how they're going to manage or mitigate the things that are in our sport. We have very real dangers.
oh, yeah.
I just feel like good skydivers manage risk. And if you don't manage risk as a skydiver, you're either not going to be a skydiver for very long, you're going to
Well,
find a new hobby.
yeah. Well, I mean, the bottom line is if you don't acknowledge the risk, you can't work to overcome it.
That is it.
You have to acknowledge it. When I
Yes.
started doing tandems, the one of the most popular printed T-shirt lines were the No Fear T-shirts that everybody would wear. And
Mhm.
looking back on it, I've never seen a more ridiculous or stupid campaign in my life.
I
I
agree.
absolutely thrive off of the fear that I've had, and I'm still here because I acknowledged that fear and worked to control it. You know,
Yeah,
if you're
me
not
too.
willing to acknowledge that there's fear and risk involved, you're fucked. You're just it's a time clock. That's it.
Yeah.
You know.
I work really closely with Melanie Curtis. She's one
Mm,
of the coaches that I have. I love her, by the way,
yeah, she's
but
awesome.
she's so cool. But one of her big things has always been like, just own it,
Yeah.
like if you are afraid, own it. You should be, show up, own it, own the fear, work through it. And I respect that so much. It's been a huge part of my journey.
The biggest thing that I learned over all the years is the biggest first step towards controlling fear is acknowledging it. If you don't
Yes.
acknowledge it, that's when you're actually faced with substantial, real, in your face fear. If you haven't learned to acknowledge that fear, it's going to overwhelm you, and it's going to go from fear to panic, and then you're dead. Panic
Yes.
is not survivable. Fear is survivable. Panic is fight or flight. I'm not thinking anymore. Fuck, 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 fuck. What's going to happen? Fear is, oh, I don't like this. Something bad might happen. I need to think through things to make sure I don't die.
Makes sense.
Big
Yeah.
difference. Panic is the enemy.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think Brian Germain is also in that same line of thought. I think he's mentioned something a little similar, but
Yeah.
it's good. All the good guys are saying it.
Yeah, and I mean, these are
Yeah.
lessons that I learned from, talking to, working with, and knowing the best in the business. I've had
Yes.
Brian on the show a couple of times as well, and he
Thanks.
and he and I are of a very similar mind in regard to safety. I think most people are. Um,
Mm.
that was one of the big things that drove the book, and the fact that I was able to get some of the best that have ever skydived to give me essays for the book on them overcoming substantial fear, because it's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Yeah.
No, I love the way you did it. And I kind of took a leaf out of your page too. And the fact that I have expert insights in each of my chapters as well, because you know how it is. It's just so much more credible to have an expert talk about fear, or in my case, talk about risk and just destigmatize
Yeah.
like the uncool factor, the
Yeah.
experts are doing it. So it's the cool thing to do.
Yeah, well, and I'm smart enough to know that there are much smarter people than me. And I'm
Yeah.
smart enough to know that there are much more experienced and talented skydivers than me. I learned that lesson a long time ago that I was never going to be a world champion and really didn't have the drive to be. So I had a lot of lessons to learn from people that had that drive and pushed that much harder and went that extra mile. And why would you not avail yourself of all the information that you can get from everyone? Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, you learn to sort through it. But when you got somebody that's been jumping for 30 years and they've done 15 or 20,000 skydives, that's probably somebody you can take a tip or two from.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
And I love that about our sport so much that you can approach these people with 30 years of experience. Truly, they are like our LeBron Jameses.
yeah,
And you can, ask
it's
them tips and
it's
they
the
might.
most accessible sport in the world.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
The most. When I got to have Bill Booth on I've had so many amazing people on here, but I mean, people that like shaped modern skydiving back when it was just beginning, and it's
Yeah.
literally been a series of a few social media or email messages, and the next thing you know, I'm talking to fucking Bill Booth. Are you
Yeah.
kidding? It's
I know.
absolutely mind-blowing because of course nobody else outside the sport gives a damn or knows who the hell Bill Booth is, but to us
Mhm.
in the sport, he's a hero. Olav Zipser, Omar El these are some people that I consider friends at this point, and you're
Oh,
just mind blown because in 1996 Omar and Olav were just heroes that I bowed down to on a VHS tape.
yeah, no, I'm totally with you. I feel that way about DNBC and P. Alum, and both of them I've cold called on social media, and both of them were kind enough to respond and give me the time of day. And I
I
mean, it
mean,
was such a young girl moment.
you are definitely aiming for the best for sure, and they are just that accessible. So,
Yeah.
tell me about the book. Tell me a little bit about what people can expect when they pick it up, and where it's available.
Yeah. So the book basically takes skydiving insights and blends them with real formal risk management theory, like textbook, PMI, Project Management Institute grade approved theory. And it makes it fun with skydiving parallels. So I take you through each step of project risk management. And I was able to pair them with steps of skydiving. So I have a chapter titled like Under a Good Canopy, the Upside of Risk. So I tried to like one for one as close as I could get, relate the two subjects because in risk management, there's always a hidden upside. And once you're under a good canopy in skydiving, that feels pretty great too. And for that chapter, I was able to rope in a story from Brian Pangburn, a crew legend. And I think skydivers really, have this tendency to think of crew as being a pretty risky discipline. So it just all kind of fit in a way that I wasn't expecting it to. It's like the project almost wrote itself, but there's also case studies from Cyprus as well throughout. Cyprus is the AAD company that we have in skydiving. So they're kind of skydivers' last line of resort. And because they're a business company, they have a risk management process. They were
Hmm.
kind enough to give me an interview, and I was able to create a case study for each chapter of the book and each part of the risk management process with Cyprus as well. So it's 14 chapters, step by step, of all of the risk management knowledge you could want, beginning with a cool skydiving story, having some theory, having a quote from another cool expert skydiver, having the Cypress case study, and then just kind of wrapping it up. There's 14 chapters of that, and then there's 5 interviews in the back of the book with legends like Alex Swindle, Amy Shemalecki, Chuck Akers, Melanie Curtis, and the last one is Mike Cannon, who's a big military guy who knows a thing or two about military risk management. So yeah, there's 30 plus skydivers involved, and it's so cool to hear their insights, and it's just everything you could want to know about risk and skydiving, really.
Amazing, amazing. And I mean, it's the kind of sport that all the positive and proper information you can get on is a good thing. Um,
Yes.
Skydivers should never stop learning. They should have as much information as they possibly can. And it's an ever evolving sport as the gear changes and all of this stuff. There's always a new level to it. So there's always more to take into consideration.
Absolutely. And it's going to keep changing. Who knows? Maybe I'll have to do a second edition to keep up with the changes. But for now, edition one is available on Amazon. It's online everywhere on Amazon.
Nice. So now, how about you? How do people find you? Can they reach out if they want to ask some questions or anything like that? What's your socials and all that stuff?
Yeah, happy to share. I made Facebooks and Instagram pages for the book projects. They're both under Perfectly Good Airplane. So with Instagram, I have some underscores separating the words. It's perfectly underscore good underscore airplane underscore. You're welcome to reach me there. And then on Facebook, I think it's the full title of the book, Perfectly Good Airplane Lessons in Risk Management from Skydivers. Shoot me a message about anything. I'm totally open to responding. So
Awesome. So Perfectly Good Airplane on Amazon, and then you're under Perfectly Good Airplane Instagram and Facebook. Ali, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to sit down and talk to me and share all the hard work that you put into the book. I hope that it does incredibly well and pays off.
thank you so much, Dean. It meant a lot to be on the show, and I'm thankful for your time and your lessons as well.
All right, well, cheers. Well, you take care and have some blue skies.
Thank you. Blue skies to you too, and fun jumps.
See ya. Well, there you have it. Another episode of the Lunatic Fringe podcast brought to you as always by, well, wait, not as always, actually. Brought to you now by Gyro. Formerly known as NZ Aerosports, you'll head to gyro.com for their next level line of canopies. By Pussfoot, the Extreme Sports Collective. Head over to pussfoot.com to check it out. By Summit Parachute Systems, check out summitparachutesystems.com to talk to Jarrett Martin and the gang about kick-ass pilot rigs, rigging courses, and more. By Flyaway Indoor Skydiving, go to flyawaytn.com and check out all the cutting-edge stuff to come. By Pure Spectrum CBD, head to purespectrumcbd.com to check out their wide range of CBD products. And as for us, head to the lunaticfringepodcast.com to listen to any of the hundreds of episodes currently available, hit the link for our YouTube channel, pick up your copy of the Lunatic Fringe book or The Accidental Stripper, and get a sneak peek at upcoming guests. Once again, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Damn.